Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads. I've had a bizarre and largely unsatisfying reading week. In part because um, I had some things I had to do. On Saturday, I spent most of the day helping my mom watch three of my nieces and nephews, while my brother and sister in law helped her mother move. And on Monday, my mom had an appointment that took a bit longer than we anticipated, not because of the appointment itself, but because my brother had an errand to run after mom's appointment. So that slightly cut into my reading time. Also, contributing to uh, the bizarreness of this reading week is how my reading plans went. So my initial plan for November was to read the books I had selected for the various booktube events that I'm participating in. So I wanted to start off with Nonfiction November, the storied booktube event created by Olive of a Book Olive. So the four prompts this year were fraud, web, capital, and display. And so I was going to start with books that match those four prompts, starting with Miracles of Our Own Making by Liz Williams, which I built on last week. So that fit the fraud prompt. So I moved on to Web, which was represented by The Red Hourglass by Gordon Grice, which I read, or I started late last week and finished on Saturday. And then my plan was to, if things didn't take so long at my brother's, or with my brother, which they did, then I was going to start on and then read through Sunday Gay Bar by Jeremy Atherton Lin. And then once that was done, get to O'Keefe and Stieglitz by Benita Eisler. Now, one thing that I noted in that is that one of those books was not actually one of the four prompts. Gay Bar is actually a bail redemption that I had, after all of my other booktube events were done. The actual representative was Prague, Capital of the 20th Century by Derek Sayer, which we'll get to. But anyway, so what ended up happening was I mentally, since O'Keefe, Gay Bar, and the Red Hourglass are together on one shelf, I mentally grouped them all together when they shouldn't have been. But anyway, so let's get back to the Red Hourglass by Gordon Grice. So I started it last week and I finished it on Saturday, and it was fantastic. It's a collection of 7 nonfiction pieces about 7 predators: black widows, mantids, rattlesnakes, tarantulas, pigs, canids, and brown recluses. So each piece is a mix of natural history, reportage, and memoir, or personal experience. And the writing is fantastic, and there are some wonderful scenes and passages. Amongst them, a scene in the Black Widow chapter where Grice was working as a yard person during the summer at a hospital, and he found black widows. And he gradually, as he cleared out these widow nests, that he tracked in reverse their dispersal pattern from their egg. And that was really fascinating. And then there was in the rattlesnake chapter, a scene of a set piece of a Rattlesnake Roundup, which was haunting and well done. And just, this is a really brilliant book. I really love it. I've read this book, I think this was my 4th reading, and I love it every time. So this was definitely a highlight of my reading week, which unfortunately went downhill from there because there were a lot of bells. So many that I think I'm probably in the running to supplant Sean the Book Maniac as the Emperor of Bailing. But anyway, so I didn't read anything after I finished the Red Hourglass on Saturday. I didn't bring another book with me, and it was rather late when we got back home. So I decided to read or start on a book I had selected for Cold War November, as well as also my Bell Redemption project for November. So, and that was Collapse, The Fall of the Soviet Union by Vladislav M. Zubok. So this is a history of the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and it was up for the Kondo Prize last year. It made it to the finals. So I had to go at this book last year. I bailed on this book last year, and I bailed on it again this year. I think because as definitive as this history is, it's lacking something. And I'm thinking it's humor, a bit more oomph to the writing, I think could have been useful. And yeah, so I bailed on it again. And then I started on Gay Bar by Jeremy Atherton Lin after we got back from Mom's appointment. So this is a mix of a memoir of Atherton Lin's experiences in gay bars, a sociology of the gay bar, a history of the gay bar, and I bailed on it last year. I think it came out last year because I found it too unsure of what exactly it is, and I feel that again. It's just, is it a memoir? Is it sociology? What is it? And I think, was there enough of any one thing to really make a book on its own? And I think some of the theory that Atherton Lin uses is at times perhaps a bit self-destructive. So yeah, this was another Bell Redemption rejection. And then I moved on to O'Keeffe and Stieglitz by Benita Eisler. So this is a dual biography of Georgia O'Keeffe and Stieglitz. I'm not recalling his first name. He was a photographer who largely brought Georgia O'Keeffe to prominence, and they had a relationship. I didn't particularly care for the writing. It just, I wasn't really interested in reading this book. But it was free, so yeah. And then Prague, Capital of the 20th Century by Derek Zayer. So this is a history of Prague in the 20th century. Although, in actual fact, it's actually a history of Prague's encounters with surrealism in the 20th century. And no. So that was disappointing. And raises, I think, two future discussion videos for me. One being my engagement with BookTube events and what I can do to make them more enjoyable. I find the creation of the TBR, or pile of possibilities, and collecting the books, if I don't have them in my collection, fun. But when it comes to actually reading those books, I'm a lot less. I don't really enjoy those books when I do get around to reading them for the most part. So I don't know if I just need to read what I want to read and just not engage in booktube events, or if I need to be a bit more diligent in my selections so that I'm pretty confident when I do select these books that I'm going to enjoy them, because like the O'Keefe and Stieglitz book, I picked it up largely because it was free, and I really saw that is going to annoy me. Sorry about that. And I felt bad that there weren't really any books that really interested me, and so I just took the two that kind of sort of worked. But I shouldn't have done that. And the only reason why I picked the book for Nonfiction November was because it's one of the few books I have that is about art. That's not an art book. That's actually how to paint. Um, and I also think, in general, I need to be a lot more diligent and mindful of the books that I do want to bring into my collection, because I am running out of space and I'm paying for it. So I do need to read previews and think a lot harder about the books I buy. Anyway, so that's discussion for another time, particularly the BookTube event thing. But my reading week was saved. I read 4 volumes of manga over the last 2 days, and they were fantastic. So on Thursday, I read the first volume of The Four Knights of the Apocalypse by Nakaba Suzuki. This is the sequel series to The Seven Deadly Sins. So, The Four Knights of the Apocalypse takes place 16 to 17 years after the end of The Seven Deadly Sins. It's about a young boy or young man named Percival, who lives with his grandfather on a tall mountain called God's Finger. One day, Percival's father comes and kills Percival's grandfather and grievously wounds Percival. And Percival then leaves God's Finger to find his father Ironside and figure out, why did you kill grandfather? Why did you hurt me? And he meets Fox, and he goes traveling. He, in this volume, meets up with a troupe of magicians who were all failed holy knights, and he kind of joins up with them. He rescues a village from a giant wolf and engages with the corrupt holy knight who sent the wolf to attack the village. And then he is rescued by the fox alongside one of the troop members, Donnie, and the fox, who is revealed to be able to speak, reveals to Percival that he is one of 4 knights who are foretold to bring about the downfall of a corrupted King Arthur, who was a major supporting character in the Seven Deadly Sins. So yeah, I really love this volume. It was amazing. Percival, he's fairly similar to Melodius. He's 16, but he does not look 16 at all. And he's very sort of physically similar to Melodius, although not in personality. Percival is much more your standard, not quite really standard, but he's a lot more of a friendlier protagonist, I would say. So let's show some pictures real quick. So there's Percival without his helmet. He has one wild hairdo. And then there's Ironside coming to God's finger. And then here's Ironside and Borghese, Percival's grandfather, fighting. And then that I had a blast. I really enjoyed this volume, and I am really looking forward to continuing with the series, which I have made sure I will do in the coming weeks. I also read the first volume of Tokyo Ghoul by Sui Ishida. So this is a seinen series, which is a series aimed at older male readers. Tokyo Ghoul is set in an alternate timeline in which there are a species of human-like beings called ghouls who can only subsist on eating human corpses. Ken Kaneki is a college freshman who goes on a date with a beautiful young woman named Riza. Riza is revealed to be a ghoul, and in an accident she initially attacks and intends to eat Ken, but she is killed by a piece of falling iron, like an iron beam. And Ken is grievously wounded. To save Ken's life, his doctor harvests Riza's organs to implant into Ken, transforming him into a human ghoul hybrid. So Ken develops an insatiable hunger for human flesh that he spends much of the volume resisting, which is gradually ruining his social relationships, his mental stability, and he begins to encounter a ghoul society. And this was just amazing. I really enjoyed this volume. It was great. I'm really looking forward to picking up more volumes. Let's see here. And I really love the artwork. The artwork is just amazing. And then, so yeah, that was really fun. Oh yeah, there, just wonderful. And then today I reread the first two volumes of Noragami Stray God by Adachitoka. This is volume 1 and this is volume 2. So Noragami Stray God is a series that's final chapter is about to be released next month. So it's a series about Yato, who is a homeless god who is seeking to gain enough money to be able to build himself a shrine and gain followers. So in order to gain donations for his shrine fund, he does odd jobs. One day he encounters a young woman named Hiyori while looking for a missing cat, and Hiyori is sort of separated from her body and develops the ability to sort of temporarily leave her body and basically become involved with the supernatural community in this setting. So there are a number of gods and with whom Yeto has relationships with. There are also these monstrous creatures created by dark emotions that he battles. And it's just, I really enjoyed this rereading. I know when I reread, or when I read volume 2 a year ago or so, I didn't quite get on with it, but this reading, I really enjoyed it. So I'm thinking I might get around to picking up more volumes. Let me see here. Really cool images. And I'm really liking the third kind of character in the group, Yato. He is, or not Yato, he's the main male character, Yukine, who is sort of Yato's Shinki, divine weapon, who's also the spirit of a deceased person. So that. And let me get a really good picture of. Excuse me. Oh yeah, that's. Oh. Well, that's. So here's a pretty good picture of Yukine. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this too. So that leads me to this coming reading week. So I think this week is going to have some uh, disruption as well. So I think over the course of the weekend, I'm going to read a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy for Dr. November in this omnibus edition. And then if everything goes according to plan, on Monday I will probably read or reread one of these 2 volumes of poetry, Mass for Shut-ins by Mary Alice Daniel and Seed Celestial by Sara Burnett. And then once those are done, I think on Tuesday, if everything goes according to plan, I will start on The Sleepwalkers by Christopher Clark for World War November. Anyway, but I will report back next week how my reading plans went. I know I haven't made many videos this week. I think I've only made 2. In part, that's because some of the discussion videos I wanted to make, I've been wanting to talk about my history collection. And that didn't quite turn out how I wanted it to. I've also been thinking about my library in general and wanting to change some things. And that video didn't quite go how I wanted it to. So hopefully next week I might be able to, particularly the library one, because I've been really obsessing over that. I could be able to make a video on that and maybe a few other discussion videos. Also want to try to finally get around to doing an original tag. And at some point I will also do a call for Q&A because I'm almost at 1,000 videos. So anyway, BookTube, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for now and upload this and debate whether or not I want to go ahead and decorate a German chocolate cake tonight or wait until the morning. So until I see you next week, BookTube, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening and weekend, and stay safe.